Water. It is literally the most basic thing in the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
But depending on where you are standing on this planet right now, you might call it Jal or maybe Panyalani. Or if you are hanging out in a lab somewhere, it is H2O.
Right, and in Prague you would ask for voda, and in Rome it is aqua. And if you happen to be speaking Malay or Indonesian, the word for water is actually air, which is confusing for English speakers, but it proves the point perfectly.
Exactly. So the substance is identical. It is wet. It keeps you alive. It freezes at 0 degrees. And I want you to hold on to that idea because we are about to apply that exact same logic to something a lot more complicated than a glass of water.
The human body.
The human body, right? Which brings us to what we are doing today. We are doing a deep dive into an article titled Chakra and Endocrine System, Updated 2026. This is by an author named Jivita. And the core question here is, it is pretty provocative.
It really is. The question is basically, what if chakra and endocrine system are just two different languages describing the exact same biological hardware?
Okay, I am going to play devil's advocate right out of the gate here. Because usually when people hear chakra, they think, yoga mats, incense, maybe a bit of that woo-woo spirituality.
Sure, yeah.
And when they hear endocrine system, they think hormones, doctors, biology textbooks. They feel like oil and water.
They do usually, because one is metaphysical, it deals with energy and consciousness, and the other is medical, dealing with glands and chemistry. But the mission of our deep dive today is to explore the source's argument that these aren't separate domains at all. We are going to look at the parallelisms drawn between ancient Eastern metaphysics, specifically yoga and Reiki, and modern Western biology.
And just so we are totally clear up front, we aren't doctors here. We are reporters. We are looking at the connections drawn by the author and the community reaction to this piece. We are asking, were ancient saints actually early scientists who just used a vocabulary we've completely misunderstood?
Right. Think of it as the Rosetta Stone approach to anatomy. But before we can translate, we need to define the terms. Because if we do not get the definitions right, the whole comparison just falls apart.
Fair point. So let us start with the woo-woo side. What exactly is a chakra?
So the source defines chakra as a Sanskrit word. Literally, it translates to wheel circle or a spinning vortex. Sometimes they refer to it as a whirlpool of light.
So it is dynamic. It is moving.
Exactly. And according to the text, while there are many chakras, the main ones sit in the subtle body. They align perfectly with the spinal column, starting from the base of the spine and running all the way up to the crown of the head.
I've always seen them depicted as flowers, though.
Yes, the lotus flower. That symbolism is crucial here. In the Eastern tradition, the lotus grows out of the mud-dirty water and rises up to bloom as a pristine flower. It represents consciousness purifying itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you move up the ladder of chakras from the bottom of the spine to the top of the head, you are moving from basic material survival towards spiritual enlightenment. The lower chakras have fewer petals, and the crown has 1,000.
Okay, so that is the software, so to speak, the energetic operating system. Now let us bring in the hardware. How does Western biology define the counterpart here?
The biological counterpart is the endocrine system. In medical terms, this refers to a collection of ductless glands.
Hang on, ductless. I am picturing a plumbing issue, but I assume that is not what you mean.
Not quite, no. Think of it like the difference between a hardwired Ethernet cable and Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Most glands in the body, like sweat glands, have a tubiduct that carries their stuff to a specific surface. Endocrine glands are like Wi-Fi routers. They broadcast their signal chemical messengers called hormones directly into the circulatory system.
So they are broadcasting the whole system at once.
Precisely. And they are the control center. The source emphasizes that the endocrine system regulates metabolism, reproduction, sleep, growth. Basically everything that makes you you.
And here's where the source makes the really critical link. It notes that when these organs are blocked, or as the author puts it, energetically impaired, you get hormonal imbalances.
Which leads to physical disease. So on one side, you have spinning wheels of light regulating consciousness. On the other, you have glands regulating hormones. The author's argument is, look at the map. They are the exact same thing.
And this is the aha moment the article pushes for. If you take a transparency of the chakra system and overlay it on a diagram of the endocrine glands, they land on almost the exact same real estate.
Right. The author calls the endocrine glands the physical projection of the chakra system.
But let us not just list them, because that gets boring. I want to understand the why. If these things are connected, the function should match right. It shouldn't just be location.
That is the real test. Let us walk through them starting from the top down to see if the narrative holds up. Let us start at the very top, the Sahasrara or crown chakra.
Which is located at the top of the head, connected to divine consciousness. And this one has the 1,000 petals.
Correct. And its physical projection, according to the source, is the pineal gland.
Okay. Moving down right between the eyebrows, we have the Ajna, the third eye.
This one represents intuition and self-realization. It has just 2 petals. Biologically, it maps to the pituitary gland. In biology, we actually call the pituitary the master gland. It controls almost all the other glands in the body.
So the third eye isn't just seeing ghosts or whatever. It is literally the gland that oversees the chemical operations of the whole system. It creates the top-down instruction.
Exactly. Then you move down to the throat region, the Vishuddhi chakra.
This one has 16 petals, and it governs the right to speak one's belief. Communication.
And physically, that maps to the thyroid and parathyroid glands, which regulate metabolism.
This one is interesting to me symptom-wise, because when you hold back your truth, when you do not say what you need to say, you get a lump in your throat.
You do. The source suggests that suppressing communication, which is a chakra issue, manifests as thyroid imbalance. You are physically strangling your own energy flow.
Which leads us down into the chest. The center of the chest is the anahat, or heart chakra, 12 petals.
All about self-acceptance. And biologically, it is the thymus.
I admit I barely know what the thymus does.
It is a huge part of the immune system. It trains your T cells to fight off disease.
So the implication there is love equals immunity.
In a way, yes. The text implies that self-acceptance and heart energy protect the body from foreign invaders. When you are heartbroken or grieving, your immune system often takes a hit.
Okay, moving down above the navel, the Manipur or solar plexus, 10 petals. This is your power center, your ego, your self-confidence.
And the physical map for that is the pancreas.
The pancreas. That regulates blood sugar. How does that connect to ego or confidence?
Think about the physical sensation of a blow to your ego. Or when you are really nervous before a big presentation. Where do you feel it?
In my stomach.
Or
Or like I have been punched in the gut.
we literally call it a gut feeling. The source argues this isn't just a metaphor, that anxiety, a crisis of confidence, is a solar plexus reaction which directly impacts digestion and blood sugar. It is why stress gives you a stomachache. The power center manages the fuel for the body.
Wow, okay, that clicks. And going further down the lower abdomen is the Swadhisthana or sacral chakra, 6 petals.
This is the center of feeling, sensing abilities, and creativity. Biologically, it maps to the reproductive system. The community comments point specifically to the ovaries and testicles here.
Which fits perfectly. Creation, reproduction, feelings. It is all right there. And finally, the foundation at the base of the spine, the Muladhara, or root chakra, 4 petals.
In yoga, this is all about the material world. Physical survival basic needs, standing your ground.
And biologically, while the text links the adrenals generally to the system, the community points out that the root connects beautifully to the adrenal glands.
It makes a ton of sense. If the root is about survival and fear, the adrenals are the ones pumping out adrenaline for fight or flight. If your root is unstable, you feel insecure. If your adrenals are overactive, you feel anxious. Same sensation, different vocabulary.
So the mapping really is compelling. The functions genuinely seem to rhyme. But the source tries to take it a step further. They do not just want the locations to match. They want the numbers to match. And this is where I got a little skeptical, I have to say.
Yes, the mathematics of spirituality.
The author claims that the number of petals on these lotus flowers corresponds perfectly to the number of nerves in the spine, basically arguing that these ancient yogic saints were actually anatomists of their time, recording their findings in the Vedas and Upanishads.
It is a bold attempt to prove the science behind the spirituality.
So let us look at the math the source presents. It states a biological fact first. The human spine has 24 vertebrae. From those, you get 24 pairs of nerves. 24 times 2 is 48. So 48 nerves total.
Right, keep that number in mind, 48.
Then the author adds up the petals of the first 6 chakras from the root up to the third eye to see if they match. So root has 4, sacral has 6, solar plexus has 10, heart has 12.
Falling so far, that is 32.
Then we get to the throat. Now, earlier in the article, the throat chakra is clearly listed as having 16 petals. But when doing this math equation, the source suddenly uses the number 14.
I noticed that discrepancy too.
It feels a bit like cheating, doesn't it? Like, oh, the math does not work. Let me just shave off 2 petals to make it fit.
It is definitely muddy. Looking at the source's logic, they seem to be referencing a specific breakdown of the cervical plexus nerves versus the petals. They claim the 2 missing petals are accounted for in the ajna or third eye calculation somehow. It is a bit messy.
But if we do accept their adjustment, using 14 instead of 16 for the throat, and then add the 2 petals